Hi, this is the Rev. Quick review. Last week we talked about the visit of the Magi, and in order to get to the next context, I'd like to review that, but we'll put it in a modern context. Okay. So let's just be creative and imagine this magical world where California is the epitome of civilization, that California is the ideal, and that the governor Arnold Schwarzenegger is called from the gods themselves to bring the message of California and the order and rule of California to all of creation. That the actual culture of California is to be the rule of society throughout the world, and that in the the message and the rule of California, that in that rule all peace and all prosperity will be established. And now, in the midst of California is this crazy place that is called Los Angeles. Now, Los Angeles is a bit of a trouble spot. They got a lot of problems. There's this group of people, the Raiders fans that just think that Los Angeles should be their own entity, and they're always causing trouble. And in order to keep control of Los Angeles, instead of Los Angeles electing a mayor, the governor actually appoints a ruler. Now, this ruler is supposed to control Los Angeles so that the governor doesn't have to think about what's going on in Los Angeles. Okay? Um, Now, the Honorable Mayor Villaraigosa winds up using this power that comes from the governor himself to crush any resistance to the message of California. He just absolutely smashes it. He murders, he imprisons, he does whatever it takes to keep the peace and to establish the rule of California. Okay? Now that's what's going on. Now, into the midst of this situation, these hippies from Eugene, Oregon, come down into the city, and they go to the capital of Los Angeles, and they walk into Mayor Villaraigosa's office, and they say, um, we saw the image of the new mayor of Los Angeles in our crystals, and we were wondering if you could show us where he was born, because we want to go and pay homage to him. And you could imagine that Mayor Villaraigosa was not too happy with this, but neither was the rest of Los Angeles, because they'd been beaten down so bad by the governor and by Villaraigosa that they realized that this group of hippies from Eugene, Oregon, was just going to cause more trouble, and so everyone was a bit worried, and Villaraigosa calls in the leaders of the Raiders fans, and he says, where is this mayor that's supposed to come and liberate all of Los Angeles? Where is he supposed to come from? And they say, well, he actually is supposed to come from South Central Los Angeles, because the ancient writings tell us that though South Central is this small and insignificant place where only the poor and the marginalized live, the ruler of Los Angeles is going to come from there. And so he goes back, and he tells these hippies, and he tells them to go to South Central. He tells them to be careful. Um, he tells them to watch for cars speeding by quickly. And he tells them to make a diligent search and find this new mayor of Los Angeles. To find him so that he too can come and pay homage to him. So that's where we ended off. But what happens is what I sometimes call the Christmas story that nobody wants to tell. See, what happens then is absolute proof that the message of the kingdom of God, the message of the empire of God, is not only in opposition to what was going on in the religious groups of the Pharisaical tradition and the Sadduceical tradition, but it was actually an enmity against Rome itself. Because in South Central Los Angeles, these poor parents give birth to this child, and the mayor, the most powerful man in the province, the emissary of the empire itself, the one who knows that any trouble in the empire will come back to him. He has a plan to absolutely crush this uprising. Now, this is really important. This is really important. What we need to realize here is that the leader of this province, Herod, he sends his death squad to go and murder all of the children under the age of 2, because he was afraid that if he didn't kill all of them, one of them might escape. So what we have is a story of a bunch of murdered children. And what we also have is a story of God warning Joseph and Mary and sending them to Egypt, which also becomes important. So what we have is we have basically 3 very important points. 1, the empires of man, when faced with the reality of God's rulership on earth, must stop it. There's 2 ways that they have determined to do that. 1 is to crush it with violence, and 2 is to infiltrate it, to make nice with it, and by making friends with it and actually even giving power to it, to nullify its effect. The second thing we need to learn from this is that Matthew, writing this, not only wants us to see that, but he also wants to see this connection with another couple of characters that we see that have to do with Egypt. Joseph runs to Egypt bringing Israel with him, but who comes out of Egypt? Moses. Moses is the one that brings the covenant. Any Jewish person actually reading this is going to see that out of Moses have I brought my son is a direct relationship to the Old Testament idea that God himself brings the new covenant, the new way of being, the new rulership of God out of Egypt. And from that, they would recognize that Matthew is saying that in Jesus we see a new Moses, a greater Moses, and a new kingdom, a new rulership of God. And then lastly, what we see is that these ideas about rulership become infinitely important to our own lives. Because we have to realize how easy it is to get caught up with just accepting what's going on in our regular empire and not realizing that the kingdom, the empire, the republic, the economy of God is almost always in opposition to the empires of man.